Lieutenant Commander Jack Miller sat rigid in his command chair aboard the UEN Valiant, his eyes fixed on the main screen as stars streaked by. The patrol vessel moved toward the Kelrani system, carrying humanitarian supplies and a heavy burden of responsibility. Jack knew they were making history. The Valiant would be the first human military ship to enter this troubled region of space. 6 weeks ago, Earth's first diplomatic mission had ended in tragedy. The unarmed vessel carrying Ambassador Lisa Ortega and her team was destroyed without warning by hegemony forces. No survivors, no explanation, just unprovoked violence that shocked humanity's leadership. Jack ran his hand through his short brown hair and glanced around the bridge. His crew worked in professional silence. Each face showed focus, but he could sense their tension. 5 minutes until we reached the Kelrani system border, announced Navigation Officer Peter Garcia. His fingers moved quickly across his console, making small course adjustments. Operations Officer Susan Bell looked up from her station. All systems operating at optimal levels, Commander. The modified shield generators are online but inactive as ordered. Jack nodded. The Valiant wasn't originally built for combat. It was designed for exploration and scientific research. But recent events had changed everything. Engineers had worked around the clock to install the experimental Aegis defense system. Few outside this ship knew what the Valiant was truly capable of. "Any sign of hegemony vessels?" Jack asked. Tactical Officer Henry Wright studied his screens carefully. 3 warships detected along their border, sir. They're holding position but appear to be at high alert status. And Alliance observers? 1 vessel, maintaining distance. They're watching but not interfering, Henry replied. His dark eyes narrowed as he analyzed the tactical display. The hegemony ships outgun us 3-1, at least on paper. Jack allowed himself a small smile. Good thing paper doesn't win battles, Lieutenant. Communications Specialist Olivia Morgan turned in her chair. "Commander, I'm receiving a message from Earth Command. Admiral Chen sends confirmation of our orders." Jack tapped his console to bring up the message. The orders were unchanged. Demonstrate human military capability without escalation, establish presence in the neutral zone, and create foundations for future diplomatic efforts. Simple words that carried the weight of humanity's future in space. Acknowledge receipt and confirm we're proceeding as planned, Jack instructed. He stood and walked to the front viewport. Beyond the reinforced glass, countless stars filled the darkness. Somewhere out there, 2 powerful alien alliances watched humanity's response to unprovoked aggression. The hegemony expected submission. The alliance waited to see if humans were worth considering as potential allies. Neither understood what they were dealing with. "All stations report ready status," Jack ordered, returning to his chair. One by one, his officers confirmed their readiness. Navigation ready. Operations ready. Tactical ready. Communications ready. Engineering reports all systems green. Jack took a deep breath. None of them had signed up for what might become the opening move in humanity's first interstellar war. They were explorers and scientists thrust into a conflict not of their making. But they were also humans, descendants of countless generations who had survived against incredible odds on Earth. "The hegemony believes we're weak because we seek peace," Jack said to his crew. "They think our technology is primitive because we developed differently than they did. They expect us to retreat at the first sign of danger." He paused, meeting each officer's eyes. "We're going to show them how wrong they are." The bridge fell silent again as the ship continued forward. On the main screen, the Kelrani star grew larger. Soon, they would cross into the system and face whatever waited for them. "Entering Kelrani system in 30 seconds, Peter announced. Jack settled back into his command chair. "Steady as she goes. Let's introduce ourselves to the neighborhood." The UEN Valiant crossed the invisible boundary, carrying humanity's resolve into unknown dangers. Whatever happened next would change the course of human history forever. High Admiral Zex Terrell stood before the massive viewing screen on his command vessel. His tall, slender body remained perfectly still as he watched the approaching human ship. 4 eyes blinked in different patterns. His main eyes focused on the vessel itself, while his secondary eyes studied the data scrolling beside the image. For 300 years, the Galactic Alliance had maintained an uneasy peace with the hegemony. Neither side wanted war, but both prepared for it constantly. Now this new species, humans, had appeared suddenly in their carefully balanced galaxy. "The human vessel has entered the neutral zone," reported Commander Vrel. Unlike the Admiral, Vrel could not hide his excitement. His skin rippled with blue patterns that revealed his emotions. "The hegemony has positioned 3 warships along their border." Zex Terrell nodded slowly. "And what do our sensors tell us about this human ship? This Valiant?" Vrel moved to a nearby console and pulled up detailed scans. "It is very strange, Admiral. Their technology does not follow any development pattern we recognize. Some systems appear quite basic, while others—" He paused, double-checking his readings. "Some systems suggest technology beyond our current understanding." "Explain," Zex Terrell ordered. "Their propulsion and life support systems are efficient but unremarkable. However, their energy management systems are unlike anything in our database. They appear to have power reserves far greater than a vessel that size should contain. And there are unusual components buried deep within their hull that we cannot identify." The Admiral's secondary eyes narrowed. "Weapons? Unknown. Their weapon systems appear dormant but substantial. What's most unusual is their shielding technology. It remains inactive, but the emitters are unlike any defensive system we've encountered." Zex Terrell moved closer to the screen, studying the modest-sized human vessel. By Alliance standards, it would barely qualify as a proper military ship. The hegemony would see it as insignificant. "The hegemony believes these humans will be easily frightened away," Zex Terrell said. "They think all new species follow predictable patterns." "Do you disagree, Admiral?" Vrel asked. "I've studied the information humans have shared about their history. They evolved on a world more dangerous than most spacefaring species. Their planet experienced devastating climate shifts, massive extinctions, and countless natural disasters. Their own civilization nearly destroyed itself multiple times." Vrel's skin flickered with confusion patterns. "That suggests weakness, not strength." "No," Zex Terrell corrected. "It suggests survivors. A species that adapts rapidly to threats. A species that never experienced the long periods of stability that shaped the hegemony's evolution." He gestured to the human ship. "Look at their vessel design. It appears modest, yet our scans detect unusual power signatures. Why would they disguise their capabilities unless they anticipated conflict?" On a secondary screen, 3 hegemony warships moved into an intercept formation. They were clearly positioning to block the human vessel's path. "The hegemony is preparing to confront them," Vrel observed. "Yes. They believe a show of force will send the humans retreating back to their home system. They see the unprovoked destruction of the human diplomatic vessel as a successful intimidation tactic." Vrel's skin paled slightly. "Do you think they miscalculated?" Zex Terrell was silent for a moment. His people had gained wisdom from thousands of years exploring the galaxy. They had encountered hundreds of different species. Most followed predictable patterns when first venturing beyond their home systems, cautious, deferential to established powers, unwilling to risk conflict. "I believe," he finally said, "we are about to learn something important about our new neighbors." On the screen, the human ship continued its steady advance toward the hegemony vessels. It made no aggressive moves, but neither did it alter course to avoid confrontation. "Maintain our position," Zex Terrell ordered. "Record everything. Do not interfere unless absolutely necessary." "And if the hegemony attacks the humans?" Vrel asked. The Admiral's 4 eyes blinked in perfect synchronization, a rare expression of complete certainty among his people. "Then we may witness something unexpected. The hegemony believes they understand how a new species will respond to aggression." Zex Terrell's voice lowered. I suspect they are wrong. Fleet Captain Dreshkar stood on the command deck of the Hegemony battlecruiser Inevitable Dominance. His hard exoskeleton gleamed under the ship's lights as he watched the approaching human vessel on the main screen. Two smaller but still powerful hegemony ships flanked his position, forming a wall that no sensible species would challenge. "The human ship continues on its course," reported his weapons officer. The officer's mandibles clicked with nervous energy. "They have reduced speed but show no signs of turning around." Dreshkar made a dismissive gesture with one clawed hand. "Of course they slow down. They see our superior force and hesitate. But these humans are stubborn. They will not retreat immediately." The captain moved closer to the tactical display. His orders from Hegemony Command were clear. Intimidate the humans into withdrawing without firing a shot. After the successful elimination of the human diplomatic vessel, Hegemony leaders expected this show of force would establish dominance over the new species. Humans would learn their place in the galactic order. "Send them another warning," Dreshkar ordered. "Tell them they have violated Hegemony territory and must withdraw at once or face destruction." The communications officer obeyed, sending the message across the void to the small human ship. The response came back quickly. "Sir, the humans claim they are in neutral space as recognized by Galactic Compact treaties. They say they are here on a peaceful mission to establish diplomatic relations following our..." The officer paused uncomfortably. "Following what they call our unprovoked attack on their unarmed diplomatic vessel." Dreshkar's mandibles clacked sharply in amusement. "They still don't understand. The weak do not make demands of the strong. Charge forward batteries. Make it obvious we are prepared to fire." "Yes, Captain." Charging weapons. On the main screen, the human vessel, the Valiant, continued its approach. It made no aggressive movements. Its weapons remained inactive. To Dreshkar, this confirmed everything Hegemony intelligence had reported about humans. They were technologically inferior and inexperienced in space warfare. "Sir," the sensor officer called out with surprise in his voice, "I'm detecting unusual energy fluctuations from the human vessel." Dreshkar moved to the sensor station. "Explain." "Their power output is increasing dramatically, but I cannot determine where the energy is being directed. It's not their weapons or propulsion. Something else is activating." The captain felt his first twinge of uncertainty. "Show me." The display shifted to show energy readings from the human ship. What had appeared to be a modest patrol vessel was suddenly producing power levels that made no sense for a ship of its size. "Impossible," Dreshkar muttered. "Their vessel is a third the size of ours. They can't possibly generate that much power." "Sir, they're transmitting again," the communications officer reported. "Put it through," Dreshkar ordered. The calm voice of the human commander filled the bridge. "Hegemony vessel, this is Lieutenant Commander Jack Miller of the UEN Valiant. Your ships are charging weapons in neutral space, which we consider a hostile act. We remind you that we are here on a peaceful mission, despite your unprovoked destruction of our diplomatic vessel. We have no desire for conflict, but we will defend ourselves if necessary." The human's tone lacked fear. This was not the voice of someone intimidated by superior firepower. "They're bluffing," Dreshkar declared, though with less certainty than before. "No species would send a single small vessel against 3 of our warships unless they had no other option. Fire a warning shot across their bow." The weapons officer hesitated. "Sir, our intelligence indicates this vessel is lightly armed, but these power readings suggest." "Fire the warning shot," Dreshkar commanded. "Show these humans the difference between a real military power and whatever game they think they're playing." The weapons officer obeyed. A bright beam of energy lanced out from the Inevitable Dominance, deliberately passing close to the human vessel without hitting it. What happened next would change the Hegemony's understanding of humanity forever. The warning shot from the Hegemony ship flashed past the Valiant's bow. On the bridge, Jack Miller remained calm as alarms sounded briefly and then fell silent. "They've made their intentions clear," Jack said. "Time to show them ours." Battle stations. Everyone. The bridge crew moved with practiced efficiency. Each officer knew exactly what to do. They had trained for this moment even though none had expected to face it so soon. "Sir, the hegemony vessels are maintaining attack posture," Henry reported from Tactical. "All 3 ships have weapons fully charged." Jack nodded. "Deploy countermeasures. Activate AEGS shield system. Power up Aurora Lance but hold fire." Susan Bell's fingers flew across her console. "AEGS coming online now, Commander." The ship shuddered slightly as hidden systems awakened. What had appeared to be a standard patrol vessel began to transform. Armored plates shifted position, revealing weapon ports that had been concealed beneath. The power core hummed louder as it channeled energy to systems that had remained dormant until now. "ADGI is at full power," Susan announced. Around the Valiant, a blue-white energy field formed. Unlike conventional shields used by other species, the AEGI's system was something entirely new. Earth scientists had developed it based on principles no other civilization had discovered. The adaptive electromagnetic Guardian integrated shield didn't just block attacks, it captured and redistributed their energy. On the Hegemony flagship, Dreshkar stared at his view screen in shock. "What is happening to their ship?" he demanded. "What is that energy field?" The sensor officer worked frantically. "Unknown, Captain. It's unlike any shielding technology in our database. The human vessel's configuration is changing. They had concealed weapon systems that are now becoming visible." "Impossible," Dreshkar hissed. "They're trying to trick us with some kind of visual deception. Fire main batteries. Target their engines." All 3 hegemony ships fired simultaneously. Multiple energy beams streaked toward the Valiant. On the human ship, Jack gripped his chair as the crew braced for impact. They had tested the AEGIS system extensively, but never against alien weapons of this magnitude. The energy beams struck the blue-white shield. Instead of exploding or penetrating, they seemed to ripple across its surface. The shield pulsed brighter with each hit, absorbing the incoming fire. "Shield integrity at 97%, Susan reported, her voice steady despite the situation. "AEGIS energy collectors at 42% capacity and rising." Jack allowed himself a small smile. Just as the engineers promised. Let them fire again. The hegemony ships unleashed a second volley, more powerful than the first. Again, the AEGS shield captured and contained the energy, growing brighter. "Shield integrity still at 97%, Susan reported. "Energy collectors at 68% capacity." "They can keep firing all day, and they'll just make us stronger," Jack said. "Signal the hegemony flagship. Let's give them one chance to withdraw." Olivia opened a channel. "Channel open." "Sir." "Hegemony vessel, this is the UEN Valiant. As you can see, your weapons are ineffective against our defenses. We have no desire to destroy your ships. Power down your weapons and withdraw." The response was immediate. A third, even more powerful barrage of energy weapons fire. This time, the AEGS shield glowed almost white with captured power. "Energy collectors at 89% capacity," Susan reported. "They've given us more than enough power, sir." Jack nodded. "They've made their choice. Target their main weapon array only. Minimal power to the Aurora Lance. Let's show them what happens when you corner a human." Henry's hands moved across his tactical console. "Aurora Lance targeted and ready, sir." Jack took a deep breath. This would be the first time a human weapon was fired in anger against an alien species. "Fire," he ordered quietly. From the front of the Valiant, a brilliant beam of blue-white energy, the same color as their shields, lanced out toward the hegemony flagship. It struck with surgical precision, connecting with the main weapon array of the inevitable dominance. There was no explosion, no dramatic fireball. The targeted section simply ceased to exist, its matter converted to energy and harmlessly dispersed. In an instant, the hegemony's most powerful weapon was gone. Admiral Zex Terrell of the Alliance watched the battle unfold with growing amazement. His 4 eyes didn't blink as he studied the human vessel's response to the hegemony attack. "Remarkable," he murmured. "Their shield technology doesn't just block energy, it harvests it." The bridge of the Alliance observation vessel was completely silent. Every crew member stared at the display, showing the small human ship surrounded by its glowing blue-white shield as it absorbed volley after volley from the 3 hegemony warships. "Sir, the human vessel is returning fire," called out a junior officer. A beam of energy, the same blue-white color as the shield, shot from the Valiant with incredible precision. It struck the hegemony flagship's main weapon array. There was no explosion, no debris cloud. The weapon simply disappeared, converted into harmless energy that dispersed into space. "No radiation signature," Commander Vrel noted with astonishment. "No thermal bloom. Whatever that weapon is, it's beyond our current understanding." "They fired once," Zex Terrell said quietly. "They could have targeted the ship's power core or bridge. Instead, they disabled their ability to attack." "The hegemony escorts are breaking formation," another officer reported. "They appear to be retreating." Zex Terrell watched as the 2 smaller hegemony vessels turned and accelerated away from the human ship. Only the disabled flagship remained, unable to flee with its main power systems compromised. "The humans showed restraint," the admiral said. "Minimum force to achieve their objective. This changes everything we thought we knew about them." He turned to his communications officer. "Prepare a direct channel to the human vessel. I believe the diplomatic situation has evolved." Back on the Valiant, Jack Miller received word that the hegemony escorts were fleeing. The AEGS shield continued to glow around the ship, powered by the energy it had absorbed from the enemy attacks. "Sir," Olivia reported, "the disabled hegemony vessel is hailing us. And," she paused, surprised, "we're also receiving a communication request from an Alliance vessel that's been observing the encounter." "Put the hegemony captain through first," Jack ordered. The harsh features of Fleet Captain Dreshkar appeared on screen. His mandibles twitched with barely contained fury, but there was something else in his eyes now. Fear. "What manner of trickery is this?" the hegemony captain demanded. "You concealed your true capabilities. You let us believe your vessel was inferior." Jack leaned forward in his command chair. "We concealed nothing, Captain. You assumed our patrol ship meant we were weak. You assumed our smaller vessel meant inferior capabilities. You assumed we would behave as you would." He paused. "That was your mistake." Dreshkar's mandibles clicked rapidly. "Your weapon, it could have destroyed us completely." "Yes," Jack said simply. "We chose not to. Humans prefer peace, Captain, but we are very, very good at war when provoked. Remember that." He signaled to Olivia to end the transmission. "Now put the Alliance vessel through." The screen changed to show a tall, slender alien with 4 eyes. Unlike the insectoid hegemony captain, Admiral Zex Terrell had an almost humanoid appearance, though his silver skin and extra eyes marked him as clearly non-human. "Lieutenant Commander Miller," the Alliance admiral began, "I am Admiral Zex Terrell of the Galactic Alliance. I must express my fascination with what I've just witnessed. Your technology follows principles quite different from what we've encountered before." Jack nodded respectfully. "Admiral, we developed along different lines than most species, it seems. Earth is our only home. Our defensive capabilities came first because protection was our priority." "A wise approach," Zex Terrell replied. "I would like to propose a meeting. Your demonstration today suggests humans might be valuable allies to the Alliance." "I'll relay your request to Earth Command," Jack said. "But I should inform you that this vessel is merely a patrol ship. The UEN Intrepid will be arriving in 3 days, our first true warship to enter this region." For the first time, Zex Terrell's 4 eyes all blinked simultaneously, a sign of genuine surprise. "If this is merely a patrol vessel, The Admiral said slowly. "I find myself most curious to see what you consider a warship." 3 days later, the UEN Intrepid arrived in the Kelrani system. The massive human warship dwarfed the Valiant, its sleek design combining both beauty and deadly purpose. At twice the size of the patrol vessel and purpose-built for combat, its presence caused immediate concern among both hegemony and alliance observers. Captain Stephanie Rodriguez stood on the Intrepid's bridge, watching the main view screen as her vessel approached the newly established diplomatic station. The station had been hastily constructed in neutral space, a place where representatives from all three powers could meet safely. The Valiant was already docked there, alongside vessels from both the Alliance and, surprisingly, the hegemony. "Quite a change from last week," remarked Commander Alan Grant, her executive officer, a tall man with dark skin and serious eyes. He had served with Stephanie for 5 years. Hard to believe Miller's patrol vessel handled 3 hegemony warships. "The Valiant may be classified as a patrol vessel," Stephanie replied. "But we both know it's a testbed for our most advanced defensive systems. Earth Defense Command chose perfectly for the demonstration they had in mind." Alan nodded, studying the tactical display showing the gathered ships. The hegemony didn't expect a species that developed defensive technology before offensive capabilities. No one did. "Necessity is the mother of invention," Stephanie said. She brushed a strand of auburn hair from her face, and humans have always been very inventive when threatened. On the view screen, the diplomatic station grew larger. It was a simple structure, with docking arms extending from a central hub. Alliance engineers had built it in just 2 days, an impressive feat. Representatives from 17 different species were gathering there for what would be humanity's formal introduction to the galactic community. "Captain," called Lieutenant Paul Warren from Communications, "we're receiving transmission from Admiral Zex Terrell of the Alliance. He wishes to come aboard rather than meet at the station. Says he wants to see a proper human warship up close." Stephanie smiled. "Inform the Admiral we'd be delighted to host him. And prepare the demonstration packages. I want to show our new friends exactly what happens when humans decide to focus on offensive technology as well." As the Intrepid took its position near the station, Stephanie thought about how quickly things had changed. Just 1 week ago, humanity had been seen as newcomers to be either ignored or intimidated. Now, after one brief demonstration of human technology, they were being courted by the most powerful alliance in this sector of space. "I study the reports from Lieutenant Commander Miller," Alan said quietly. The hegemony truly believed their 3 warships could intimidate a single human vessel into retreating. "An understandable mistake," Stephanie replied. "Most species develop along similar technological paths. They create weapons, then defenses against those weapons. We did the opposite. Because Earth was vulnerable," Alan added. "We needed to protect our homeworld before we started exploring." Stephanie nodded. The HFY system was originally designed to protect Earth from asteroids and space debris. The fact that it works against energy weapons was a fortunate discovery. The ship's computer announced they were in final approach to the diplomatic station. Stephanie straightened her uniform and prepared to receive Admiral Zex Terrell. This meeting would set the tone for humanity's place in the galactic community. "Captain," Paul called out again, "we're receiving an urgent communication from Earth Command. They've detected unusual energy readings at the edge of our solar system. Something is approaching Earth." Stephanie and Alan exchanged glances. Perhaps this explained why humans had developed as they had, focusing on defense before offense, creating weapons that disabled rather than destroyed, emphasizing cooperation over conquest. Perhaps something in their collective history had been preparing them for a greater threat. "Inform the diplomatic team we'll need to brief our new allies after the initial meetings," Stephanie ordered calmly. "It seems the universe has more challenges in store, not just for humanity, but for everyone." Admiral Zex Terrell stood in the observation deck of the Intrepid, his 4 eyes wide as he studied the holographic display before him. Captain Rodriguez had just finished explaining the range of human defensive and offensive technologies that the Earth Defense Fleet had developed. So you see, Admiral, the Valiant's capabilities represent only a small fraction of our technological adaptations, Stephanie explained. She gestured to a holographic image showing small, sleek craft. These are swarmer drones. Each one is not very powerful alone, but when deployed in coordinated thousands, they can overwhelm even the most sophisticated point defense systems. Zexterol moved his long fingers through the hologram, studying the design. Your species developed differently than any we've encountered before, he said. Most races create weapons first, then defenses against those weapons. You created defenses first. We had to, Stephanie replied. Earth is our only home. We needed to ensure we could protect it before we started exploring outward. Our shield technology came from our need to defend against asteroids and space debris during our early colonization efforts. The Admiral moved closer to another display, this one showing a much larger system. And this is unlike anything in our records. The hologram showed Earth's orbital defense network, an interlinking mesh of satellites, stations, and energy projectors that could transform the space around the planet into an impenetrable barrier. We call it the Aegis Umbrella, Stephanie said with obvious pride. It can defend against anything short of a supernova. We built it after discovering traces of an ancient conflict in our solar system, one that apparently destroyed a previous spacefaring civilization billions of years before humans evolved. Zexterol's secondary arms made a sudden movement that Stephanie's translator couldn't interpret. You found evidence of the precursor war in your system. We found something, she confirmed. Enough to know we needed to be prepared for threats beyond our understanding. The Admiral was silent for a long moment. His silver skin seemed to shimmer under the observation deck's lights as he processed this information. Captain Rodriguez, he finally said, I came here expecting to evaluate whether humans should be invited to join the Alliance. I now find myself wondering if we should be petitioning to join you. Stephanie smiled. We're not looking to replace existing structures. Admiral, we believe in cooperation. Different species bring different strengths to the table. Before Zexterol could respond, Commander Alan Grant entered the observation deck. His expression told Stephanie something important had happened. Captain, we've received additional information from Earth Command about the anomaly approaching our solar system, he reported. It's not just one object, it's a fleet, and it's using technology similar to the artifacts we found in the outer solar system. Stephanie turned to the Admiral. It seems our discussion about potential threats has become more relevant than I expected. Zexterol studied her face. You don't seem surprised, Captain. Earth Defense has been preparing for this possibility for decades, she admitted. It's why we developed our technology as we did. The defensive focus wasn't just philosophical, it was strategic. We suspected something might be coming. The Admiral's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture of deep thought among his people. Captain, I believe we should bring the hegemony representatives into this discussion immediately. If what you're suggesting is true, old conflicts between our civilizations become irrelevant in the face of a precursor return. Stephanie nodded and turned to Alan. Contact the hegemony delegation. Tell them we have information of mutual concern to discuss. As Commander Grant left to carry out her orders, Stephanie brought up a new hologram. This one showing the combined defensive capabilities of human, alliance, and hegemony forces if they work together. This is why we've been so eager to establish peaceful relations, she explained to the Admiral. We knew that whatever's coming, no single species could face it alone. Zexterol studied the combined defense projection. The hegemony may not be easily convinced. They will be, Stephanie said confidently. Because unlike the precursors, we're giving them a choice. 1 month after the Kelrani incident, the UEN Phoenix arrived at the newly constructed human embassy station. The Phoenix wasn't merely a warship. It was humanity's first true dreadnought, the flagship of what was now formally recognized as the Earth Defense Fleet. Admiral Nathan Carter stood on the command deck, watching the gathering of vessels from 17 different species. All had come for the signing of the Sol Accords, a new diplomatic framework that acknowledged Earth as a major power in the sector and established a joint defense initiative against the approaching precursor fleet. Quite a change from 6 weeks ago, commented Dr. Catherine Ward, his diplomatic attaché. She was a slender woman with keen eyes that missed nothing. From unknown newcomers to hosting the largest diplomatic gathering in recent galactic history, Nathan nodded, his weathered face thoughtful. The gray in his short beard had increased in recent weeks as the responsibility of his position weighed on him. The universe tested us, and we passed. They needed to see what humans are capable of. That we can fight, asked Catherine. That we can show restraint when we fight, he corrected. Any species can destroy. It takes wisdom to know when not to. On the main view screen, small shuttles ferried representatives from both the Hegemony and Alliance to the station. What had begun as a tense standoff had transformed into an unprecedented cooperation. The precursor threat had changed everything. The Hegemony representatives have arrived at the station, reported his communications officer, a young woman with steady hands and a calm voice. Fleet Captain Dreshkar is among them. Nathan raised an eyebrow. The same captain whose ship was disabled by the Valiant. Interesting choice. Perhaps the most appropriate, Catherine suggested. He's seen firsthand what humans can do, and what we choose not to do. The Admiral turned his attention to a secondary display showing Earth's combined defense network. In the months since the discovery of the approaching precursor fleet, the network had been enhanced with both Alliance and Hegemony technology. What had once been purely human was now becoming something greater, a shared shield for all three civilizations. The signing ceremony will begin in 20 minutes, Catherine reminded him. You should prepare. Nathan nodded, but before he could move toward his quarters to change into his formal uniform, the communications officer turned suddenly from her station. Admiral, we're receiving a priority transmission from Sol Command. Our long-range sensors have detected something new about the precursor fleet. They're accelerating. Estimated arrival has changed from 6 months to 6 weeks. Nathan and Catherine exchanged glances. The timeline had suddenly compressed dramatically. Inform the delegates we'll need to modify the agenda after the signing, Nathan ordered calmly. The defense preparations will need to be accelerated. As the Phoenix's sensors focused on the approaching threat, Nathan felt an unusual sense of certainty. Humanity had faced extinction-level events throughout its history. Ice ages, plagues, world wars, climate collapse. Each crisis had forged them into something stronger, more adaptable. You know, he said quietly to Catherine, when the Hegemony attacked our diplomatic vessel, they thought they were demonstrating their superiority. Instead, they gave us the opportunity to show the galaxy who we really are. Catherine nodded. And who are we, Admiral? Nathan looked at the gathered ships, vessels that had been potential enemies just weeks ago, now allies against a common threat. We're the species that prepares for the worst while hoping for the best. We're the ones who build shields before swords. We're the civilization that chooses to protect rather than destroy when given the choice. He straightened his uniform, and now we're not alone anymore. As the Phoenix took its position at the head of the gathered fleet, Nathan thought about the message humanity had unintentionally sent to the galaxy. Brace yourselves when a human warship enters the combat zone, not because of what it might destroy, but because of what it might save. The Phoenix's lights glowed steadily in the darkness, no longer alone in the vast emptiness of space. Whatever came next, humanity would face it with allies by their side and hope in their hearts. And the precursors, ancient and powerful though they might be, were about to learn what happened when you threatened a species that had spent its entire history learning how to survive against the odds.